The dim, flickering neon light of the pier cast long, distorted shadows across the wooden planks as Anna Devane adjusted the collar of her trench coat against the damp harbor breeze. For weeks, Port Charles had been walking on a razor's edge, entirely unaware of the rot festering just beneath its surface. The whispers of illicit shipments, backroom deals, and mysterious disappearances had finally coalesced into a solid, undeniable trail of evidence, one that led straight to the doors of two men who considered themselves utterly untouchable: John Jagger Cates's lingering associates, the corrupt web left by Cyrus Renaud, and the more immediate, vicious threats posed by Valentine Cassadine's fringe operatives, specifically the shadowy alliance between the rogue agent Cullum and the ruthless international criminal mastermind, Sidwell. Anna knew that the stakes had never been higher. As the police commissioner, she was bound by the law, but as a former WSB agent, she understood all too well that men like Cullum and Sidwell did not operate within the boundaries of conventional justice. They thrived in the gray spaces, exploiting loopholes, bribing officials, and silencing anyone who dared to look too closely. But they had made one critical, fatal error: they had underestimated the sheer determination of Port Charles's most formidable defenders. Footsteps echoed softly behind her, deliberate and perfectly paced, a rhythm she recognized instantly. Jason Morgan emerged from the darkness, his presence an anchoring force in the chaotic storm that was brewing. He didn't speak immediately, he didn't need to. The quiet understanding between them had been forged through years of shared battles, close calls, and an unspoken commitment to protecting the people they cared about. Jason stopped a few feet away, his gaze scanning the horizon, watching the dark waters of the Atlantic lap against the hull of a distant freighter. Anna turned to face him, the tension evident in the sharp line of her jaw and the intensity of her eyes. She held a thick, unlabeled manila envelope tightly against her chest, a physical manifestation of the explosive secrets they were about to unleash. This wasn't just a routine investigation anymore, it was an all-out war for the soul of the city, and the first shot was about to be fired. Anna took a deep breath, her voice low and steady as she began to outline the sheer scope of what they were up against. The files inside the envelope contained bank routing numbers, decrypted satellite transmissions, and eyewitness depositions that linked Cullum directly to a series of high-profile sabotage operations within the WSB itself, operations that had been designed to divert resources away from the tracking of Sidwell's black-market diamond smuggling rings. For months, Cullum had been playing a double game, using his credentials to cover his tracks while feeding classified intelligence to Sidwell, who in turn used the information to evade international authorities and expand his criminal empire right into the heart of upstate New York. Jason listened intently, his expression unchanging, though a dangerous glint flickered in his eyes. He had seen his fair share of ruthless opportunists, but the combination of Cullum's tactical insider knowledge and Sidwell's bottomless financial resources made this duo uniquely perilous. They weren't just trying to make money, they were attempting to construct a sovereign criminal enterprise that would be completely immune to prosecution. The narrative of their corruption began months earlier, in the wake of the power vacuums left by local mob wars and international espionage scandals. Sidwell, a man whose reputation for brutality preceded him across 3 continents, had recognized that Port Charles, with its bustling shipping ports, private airfields, and wealthy elite, was the perfect staging ground for his North American expansion. He needed a man on the inside, someone with a legitimate badge or a government clearance who could manipulate the system from within, and Cullum was all too eager to fill that role. Driven by an insatiable greed and a bitter resentment toward the agency that had passed him over for promotion, Cullum had sold his loyalty to the highest bidder. Together, they began systematically eliminating anyone who stood in their way, orchestrating what appeared to be tragic accidents, sudden heart attacks, and mysterious disappearances that kept the local police department chasing ghosts. But Anna's instincts, honed by decades of espionage, told her that these seemingly disconnected events were actually the opening moves of a massive, coordinated corporate and criminal takeover. Jason stepped closer, his voice a gravelly whisper as he detailed his own findings from the docks and the criminal underworld. He had been tracking the physical movement of the contraband, spending sleepless nights monitoring the warehouses near the waterfront and mapping out the distribution networks that Sidwell's men were establishing. He confirmed that a massive shipment was scheduled to arrive within the next 48 hours, disguised as a routine delivery of heavy industrial machinery for a front company controlled by Sidwell's shell corporations. This shipment, however, didn't just contain stolen diamonds or illegal firearms, it held the localized servers and encrypted communication hardware necessary for Cullum to establish a completely untraceable, underground intelligence network right under the nose of the PCPD. If that network went live, every law enforcement agency from the local police to the federal authorities would be rendered blind and deaf to their movements, allowing Cullum and Sidwell to operate with absolute impunity, effectively holding the city hostage through blackmail, extortion, and targeted violence. The danger was not confined to abstract geopolitical threats, it was deeply personal, threatening the very fabric of the lives of everyone in Port Charles. Sonny Corinthos's organization was already feeling the pressure, with Sidwell's enforcers aggressively encroaching on territories that had been stable for years, forcing Sonny into a defensive posture that threatened to ignite a brutal turf war in the crowded streets of the city. Meanwhile, innocent bystanders like Carly Spencer, Drew Kane, and the residents of the Metro Court were unwittingly hovering on the periphery of this vortex of danger, completely unaware that a single misstep could place them directly in the crosshairs of a ruthless assassin. Anna emphasized that they couldn't afford to wait for releases and maintain a consistent, dedicated stream of ticket buyers. By its fifth weekend, the domestic cumulative gross had climbed to an astonishing $314 million, representing a healthy 40% of its total global business, while the international markets continued to pour in immense wealth, contributing over $468 million to push the worldwide total past $783 million. The profound success of the film in international territories can be attributed to the timeless, universal nature of the music and the meticulous care with which the iconic live performances were recreated for the silver screen. From the precision of the early Motown choreography to the gravity-defying spectacle of the solo stadium tours, the production transformed theater auditoriums into simulated concert venues, drawing in older generations who remembered the historical moments as they happened, alongside millions of Gen Z and millennial viewers who had discovered the music through digital streaming platforms and viral social media trends. This cross-generational appeal created a powerful, self-sustaining loop of cultural relevance, where families attended screenings together, often treating the experience as a communal celebration rather than a passive viewing session. Interestingly, this entire financial narrative was constructed before the film had even been unleashed in Japan, a territory widely recognized as home to one of the most intensely devoted, fiercely loyal fanbases for the king of pop in the entire world. With a scheduled Japanese release set for the early summer, box office experts confidently predicted that the influx of Asian box office capital would easily push the movie past the coveted $800 million mark, placing it firmly within striking distance of the all-time biographical record of $910 million, a milestone that once seemed utterly insurmountable but now appeared to be an inevitability for this unstoppable cinematic force. While the musical biopic was busy capturing the hearts of music lovers and establishing its absolute dominance over the global box office, a completely different yet equally potent cultural phenomenon was brewing in the realm of sophisticated, female-skewing entertainment. Nearly 2 decades after a modest mid-budget adaptation of a best-selling novel about the cutthroat world of high-fashion journalism defined a generation's aesthetic sensibilities, the legendary creative team behind that cultural touchstone reunited for a dazzling, high-stakes sequel. Produced on a significantly amplified budget of $100 million, a substantial increase from the original film's relatively lean $35 million cost, the sequel faced intense scrutiny from industry skeptics who questioned whether a 20-year-old property could successfully navigate a wildly changed modern media landscape and attract contemporary audiences. The skepticism was quickly and decisively put to rest when the film strutted into theaters at the very start of May, delivering a masterclass in targeted demographic appeal and star-driven marketing that resulted in an exceptional $233 million global opening weekend. The domestic market embraced the return of these iconic characters with open arms, contributing $77 million to the opening weekend tally, a figure that was nearly 3 times larger than the original film's opening weekend and represented the highest domestic debut in the illustrious, multi-decade career of its legendary, Oscar-winning leading lady. The overwhelming commercial success of the fashion sequel was propelled by a brilliant, meticulously orchestrated global publicity blitz that saw its main cast members traversing the fashion capitals of the world, from Tokyo to London to New York, clad in breathtaking, headline-grabbing haute couture that effectively blurred the lines between the fictional universe of the movie and the real-world red carpet. This sophisticated marketing strategy created an immense wave of anticipation that resonated deeply with an overwhelmingly female audience, which made up over 75% of the ticket buyers during the opening weekend according to extensive exit polling data. General moviegoers were utterly captivated by the opportunity to see their favorite characters return to the sleek, high-pressure offices of a fictional elite magazine, navigating a contemporary media environment that has been radically altered by the rise of digital influencers, social media algorithms, and the decline of traditional print journalism. The film's narrative cleverness lay in its ability to address these modern industry anxieties while retaining the sharp wit, acidic dialogue, and delicious interpersonal friction that made the original movie a classic, ensuring that older fans who grew up with the first film felt a deep sense of nostalgic satisfaction while younger viewers were drawn in by the timely, hyper-relevant themes of career ambition and systemic corporate transformation. As the film entered its second and third weeks of release, it displayed an incredible stability in both the domestic and international marketplaces, demonstrating that its massive opening was